What if the food sitting in your kitchen right now could be silently pushing you towards a stroke? It's a pretty unsettling thought, isn't it? Especially when you think you're making healthy choices. Strokes, unfortunately, are a major reason for disability and even death among seniors. And here's the tricky part. While we know some risk factors, a lot of them are hiding right there on our shelves, dressed up as quick meals or even healthy foods. The reality? Lots of common foods have these hidden stroke triggers. Did you know that drinking certain popular beverages every day might seriously increase your stroke risk? And it's not just the sugary sodas we hear about. Even some diet drinks could be trouble. We're about to uncover 10 common foods that many seniors eat without a second thought, totally unaware of the dangers lurking inside. Stick with us as we reveal these surprising risks and, more importantly, what you can do about them. This isn't about scaring you, it's about empowering you with knowledge so you can make the best choices for your health. Number 10. Canned soups. A warm bowl of soup. It feels like the perfect comfort food, especially when you want something quick and easy. Many of them even show pictures of healthy vegetables and lean meats on the label, making you think they're a good choice. But that convenience of canned soup can come at a pretty high cost to your heart health. The main bad guy here? Sodium. You see, manufacturers pack canned soups with salt, not just for taste, but to make them last longer on the shelf. A single serving, which is often just half a can, can have a shocking amount of sodium, sometimes blowing a big hole in your recommended daily limit. For most adults, especially us seniors, the American Heart Association suggests sticking to no more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium a day to help keep blood pressure in check. Yet, some popular canned soups can cram in 800 milligrams or even more per serving. If you eat the whole can, like many of us do, you could be getting a full day's worth of sodium or more in just one go. So, why is all this sodium a big deal for stroke risk? Well, a lot of sodium leads straight to high blood pressure, also known as hypertension. Imagine your blood vessels are like little pipes. High blood pressure is like turning up the water pressure way too high. Over time, this constant force damages the delicate lining of your arteries, making them more likely to get blocked or even burst, which are the two main ways strokes happen. And for seniors, since our blood vessels might not be as flexible as they used to be, this extra pressure is especially risky. The hidden part? Even soups labeled heart healthy or reduced sodium can still have too much if you're not carefully checking that nutrition label and watching those serving sizes. Number 9. Diet sodas. Lots of seniors switch from regular sodas to diet versions to cut down on sugar, maybe manage weight, or keep blood sugar levels steady. Sounds like a smart move, doesn't it? Less sugar, fewer calories, what's the harm? Well, unfortunately, more and more research suggests that diet sodas aren't the harmless alternative they seem to be, and might actually carry their own big risks for stroke. The worry with diet sodas really comes down to the artificial sweeteners they use instead of sugar, things like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin. Studies have found links between drinking artificially sweetened beverages daily and a higher risk of stroke. One study even pointed out that folks drinking diet soda every day had a significantly higher risk than those who skipped them. How can something with zero sugar be a problem? Well, scientists are still figuring out all the details, but they have a few ideas. Some believe these sweeteners might mess with our blood vessel health by causing inflammation or changing how our blood vessels work. They might also change up the good bacteria in our gut, and we're learning more every day about how important our gut health is for our overall health, including our heart and brain. Plus, artificial sweeteners can kind of trick your brain. When you taste something sweet, your body expects calories and sugar that never show up. This could mess with your metabolism and even lead to cravings for other sugary, high-calorie foods. That could indirectly lead to things like obesity and type 2 diabetes, which are both linked to stroke. Some research even connects artificial sweeteners to a higher risk of high blood pressure. So, while you're skipping the sugar, you might be unknowingly swapping it for a different set of worries. Number 8. Frozen meals. Let's be honest, frozen meals, or TV dinners as many of us call them, are super tempting. They offer a whole meal with barely any prep or cleanup, which is a big plus if you live alone or find it harder to get around in the kitchen. Many even advertise themselves as healthy, low-calorie, or vegan, but under that convenient surface, many frozen meals are hiding ingredients that can secretly push up your stroke risk. Just like with canned soups, a huge issue with frozen meals is their super high sodium content. To make these meals tasty and keep them preserved, manufacturers often go heavy on the salt. Even a healthy choice frozen dinner can give you a big chunk of your daily sodium limit, which, as we know, can lead to high blood pressure, a major cause of stroke. But it's not just the salt. Many frozen meals are also loaded with unhealthy fats like saturated fats. And sometimes, even those sneaky trans fats are in there, even though companies have been trying to get rid of them. These fats can lead to higher levels of LDL, or bad cholesterol. When you have high LDL cholesterol, it can cause plaque to build up in your arteries. That's a condition called atherosclerosis. This plaque narrows your arteries, slows down blood flow, and can eventually cause a blockage that leads to a stroke. Some meals, especially those with creamy sauces or fried bits, are big-time sources of these bad fats. The calorie count on the front of the box might look okay, but the nutrition label often tells a much different story about the salt and unhealthy fat inside. Number 7. Packaged snacks. Things like chips, crackers, and cookies. These are what we often grab for a quick bite, a movie night, or when friends come over. They're everywhere, usually in big tempting bags and boxes. Now most of us know these aren't exactly health foods, but we often underestimate just how much they can contribute to stroke risk, especially for seniors. The main troublemakers in many packaged snacks are unhealthy trans fats, loads of sodium, and often refined sugars. Trans fats, you might see them listed as partially hydrogenated oils on labels, are especially nasty. Even though rules have cut down on them, you can still find them hiding in some store-bought baked goods and fried snacks. Trans fats raise your bad LDL cholesterol and lower your good HDL cholesterol, a real double whammy for your heart and brain health. They also encourage inflammation, which can damage blood vessels and help plaque build up, leading to strokes. Sodium is another big problem in packaged snacks. A small bag of chips or just a few crackers can hit you with a surprising amount of salt, pushing your daily intake towards levels that raise your blood pressure. And let's not forget the sugar and refined carbs in cookies and sweet crackers. These can cause blood sugar spikes, lead to weight gain, and increase your risk of type 2 diabetes, all of which are separate risk factors for stroke. The secret danger here is the mindless munching. It's so easy to eat way more of these snacks than you mean to, and you end up taking in a lot of these stroke-promoting ingredients without even realizing it. Number 6. White bread and other refined grains. That soft, fluffy white bread for your morning toast or lunchtime sandwich, those English muffins, bagels, or even many types of pasta, these are everyday items in so many diets. But these refined grains affect your body very differently than whole grains do, and that difference can really play a role in stroke risk for seniors. When grains are refined, they lose their bran and germ. That's the good stuff packed with fiber, vitamins, and minerals. What's left is mostly just starch. When you eat refined grains like white bread, your body digests them super fast, leading to a quick spike in your blood sugar and insulin levels. Over time, these repeated spikes can lead to insulin resistance, which is a step towards type 2 diabetes. And diabetes is a big risk factor for stroke because high blood sugar can harm blood vessels all over your body, including the ones in your brain. Plus, diets that are high in refined carbohydrates are often linked to weight gain and a higher risk of something called metabolic syndrome. That's a group of conditions including high blood pressure, high blood sugar, unhealthy cholesterol levels, and extra belly fat. Every single one of these makes a stroke more likely. The secret problem is that white bread and refined grains are just so common and seem so harmless. They're often the standard choice, and many people don't realize how much worse they are for your health compared to whole grains. Now you might hear some scientific debate about refined grains when they're part of an overall healthy diet. But for many people, especially seniors whose bodies might not manage blood sugar as easily, those quick spikes and the lack of fiber are still worth watching out for. Number 5. Full-fat dairy products. Whole milk, rich cream in your coffee, full-fat cheeses and creamy yogurts, they can be absolutely delicious, and they do give us calcium and protein. But if you're a senior worried about stroke risk, the kind of fat they contain is something to think carefully about. Full-fat dairy products are a major source of saturated fat. For a long time, dietary advice has been to go easy on saturated fat because it can bump up your LDL cholesterol. That's the bad kind. High LDL cholesterol is a well-known risk factor for atherosclerosis, that process where plaque builds up in your arteries, narrows them, and increases your risk of a stroke or heart attack. The American Heart Association, for instance, suggests trying to get less than 6% of your total daily calories from saturated fat. Now, some newer studies suggest the link between dairy fat and heart disease might be a bit more complicated, with some research even pointing to neutral or maybe even good effects from certain fermented dairy products like yogurt and cheese, no matter the fat content. But if you're already at risk for heart disease or stroke, or if you're watching your cholesterol, the usual advice is still to lean towards low-fat or non-fat dairy options. This is because, for many people, dairy products add a lot of saturated fat to their diet. The secret here is that while dairy gives you important nutrients, the high saturated fat in the full-fat versions can be a hidden reason for higher cholesterol for some folks, especially if you're eating a lot of it along with other foods high in saturated fat.
4. Red meat. Beef, pork, and lamb have been a big part of many meals for ages, and they're valued for their protein and iron. However, eating red meat regularly and in large amounts, especially the processed kinds, has been consistently linked to a higher risk of stroke. One of the main worries with red meat is its saturated fat content. As we talked about with full-fat dairy, saturated fats can raise your LDL cholesterol levels, leading to that artery-clogging plaque that can cut off blood flow to the brain. Sure, there are lean cuts of red meat, but a lot of the popular choices are higher in these fats. And recent studies keep showing that eating more red meat, especially the processed kinds, is linked to a higher chance of heart and blood vessel diseases, including stroke. Some studies even suggest that every extra daily serving of red meat can bump up your stroke risk a bit more. It's not just the saturated fat. Other things in red meat, or things that form when we cook or digest it, might also be involved. For instance, something in red meat called L-carnitine can be changed by our gut bacteria into a substance called TMAO. And higher levels of TMAO have been connected to a greater risk of clogged arteries. Also, cooking red meat at high temperatures, like grilling or frying, can create compounds that might also have negative health effects. The secret isn't that a small piece of lean red meat once in a while is automatically bad. It's that eating it often and in large amounts, especially the fattier cuts, adds quite a bit to those well-known stroke risk factors. Number 3. Smoked and cured meats. This group includes favorites like bacon, ham, sausages, hot dogs, salami, and other deli meats. We love them for their unique flavors and how easy they are to use in sandwiches, breakfasts, or on a cheese board. But these processed meats are some of the riskiest foods when it comes to preventing a stroke. The first big problem, you guessed it, sodium again. Sodium again. Smoked and cured meats are usually packed with salt, which is used a lot in the curing and preserving process. This heavy load of sodium is a direct path to high blood pressure, a leading cause of stroke. But the risks don't just stop with sodium. These meats also contain preservatives, especially nitrites and nitrates. While nitrites help stop bacteria from growing and give these meats their typical color and flavor, they can form compounds called N-nitroso compounds in your body. Scientists suspect these compounds can damage our blood vessels and make our arteries harder, which directly bumps up stroke risk. Some research has also linked them to something called oxidative stress and even DNA damage. On top of that, many smoked and cured meats are high in saturated fats, adding to cholesterol problems and artery plaque. The World Health Organization has even said processed meat can cause cancer in people. And while that's mainly about cancer, the reasons why, like inflammation and damage to blood vessels, also connect to stroke risk. The secret is that many people see these as just normal protein sources and don't fully realize the powerful mix of sodium, potentially harmful preservatives, and often unhealthy fats they contain, making them particularly bad for the health of our blood vessels. Number 2. Baked goods like pastries, cakes, and donuts. These sweet treats often pop up at celebrations when we need some comfort, or for a quick breakfast. While they're undeniably tempting, commercially made baked goods often have a dangerous trio of ingredients that can seriously raise stroke risk, especially in seniors. Unhealthy fats, including trans fats, refined sugars, and refined flour. Many pastries, cakes, and donuts you buy from a store or bakery are made with shortenings or oils that have trans fats or high amounts of saturated fats. As we've said, trans fats are terrible for your cholesterol and encourage inflammation, directly hurting your artery health. Even if a label says trans fat free, small amounts might still be in there, and the saturated fat content can be sky high. Added sugars are another huge issue. These treats are usually loaded with sugar, which leads to quick blood sugar spikes, weight gain, a higher risk of type 2 diabetes, and inflammation. all of which are big risk factors for stroke. The refined flour they use, similar to white bread, doesn't have much fiber or nutrients, and that contributes to the same blood sugar problems. The combination of unhealthy fats and high sugar content makes these foods especially problematic for your heart and brain health. The secret risk is that they're just so easy to grab, and we often don't realize how these little treats can add up and affect our blood vessel health over time. Number 1. Added sugar in beverages and many breakfast foods. We've mentioned sugary drinks, but this category really deserves the top spot because sugar is so widespread and often hidden. And we're not just talking about sodas. This includes those sweetened iced teas, fruit juices, which can pack a sugary punch even if they look natural, sports drinks, energy drinks, and a ton of popular breakfast foods like flavored yogurts, sugary cereals, and those quick breakfast bars. It's shocking how much added sugar is hiding in many of these things. Eating too much sugar is a major cause of several key stroke risk factors. It's a straight path to weight gain and obesity, and it seriously boosts your risk of getting type 2 diabetes. It can also lead to metabolic syndrome, which means high blood pressure, unhealthy cholesterol levels, and insulin resistance. On top of all that, a high sugar intake promotes chronic inflammation throughout your body, which can damage the lining of your blood vessels and make them more likely to get clogged up with plaque. The really sneaky part is just how common added sugars are, even in foods we think are good for us. A flavored yogurt might seem like a healthy choice, but it can have as much sugar as a candy bar. Many breakfast cereals marketed to adults are packed with sugar. Even some fruit juices, while they have vitamins, give you a concentrated hit of sugar without the fiber you'd get from eating the whole fruit. This leads to those rapid blood sugar spikes. Reading labels carefully for added sugars is so important. These hidden sugars, when you eat them regularly, put a constant strain on your body's systems, silently increasing your risk of a devastating stroke. Okay, hearing all this might feel a bit much, but remember, knowing this stuff is the first step to taking control. The goal isn't to make you afraid of every food out there, but to help you make smarter choices for your health in the long run. And the good news? Cutting down your risk often just means making some simple swaps and being a bit more aware. Instead of those salt-heavy canned soups, how about whipping up your own tasty soups at home? You get to control the salt. Or look for genuinely low-sodium versions and really read those labels. Swap diet sodas and sugary drinks for water, herbal teas, or water with a bit of fruit in it. Choose fresh, whole foods instead of heavily processed frozen meals and packaged snacks. Go for whole grain bread, pasta, and cereals instead of the white, refined kinds. Pick low-fat or non-fat dairy products, and choose lean proteins like fish and chicken more often than red and processed meats. And when you get those sweet cravings, fresh fruit is a fantastic fiber-rich alternative to sugary baked goods and candies. Try seasoning your food with herbs and spices instead of relying so much on salt. We really encourage you to take a look at the labels of the foods in your pantry and fridge. What surprised you the most from our list today? Share your thoughts and any healthy swaps you already make in the comments below. Your experiences could help someone else out. Protecting yourself from a stroke involves a few different things, and what you eat plays a really big part. By keeping an eye on these 10 everyday foods and the risks they can hide, you're taking a really important step towards a healthier brain and a brighter future. It's all about making those small, steady changes that can truly make a big difference. And remember, it's never too late to start making healthier choices. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more tips on healthy aging. Feel free to share this video with friends or family members who you think could benefit from this knowledge. Stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next video.